All right, so the question was, is there a way to save videos on Snapchat? And yes, absolutely. You can go in and you can save your videos as soon as you create them. You can go through, and at the end of the day, you can save your entire story. One of the things I didn't cover here is how to actually repurpose your content. So you can take those videos and you can go ahead and upload them onto your Facebook page. You can put them on YouTube. I will say this, guys, as a caveat to that. While you can do this, the advantage of Snapchat is that because content is native on that platform, you want to force your audience to go view your content there. So what you don't want to do is get in this habit of saving that content and then uploading it to Facebook, because then at that point there's really no value or incentive for anyone to add you on Snapchat.
Oh.
Hi, my name is Danielle Dora from My Visibility, we're a marketing agency. My question is for Carlos. As an agency who, sometimes has clients on the East Coast or the West Coast or not in San Diego, how can we utilize Snapchat when we're not with our clients or on location?
Yeah, it's a great question. For any agency or brand out there that doesn't have someone in market to create content, I think that's where you do your takeovers, essentially. So you can find anyone within the community that is perhaps a freelancer, or you can go ahead and do things like the geofilters. Like I said before with that W Hotels example, you don't necessarily need to have a presence on Snapchat to be on Snapchat. You can use the geofilters, or you can go ahead and rely on doing those customer or influencer takeovers.
Perfect case in point, Sean Ayala, who's big on Snapchat, has a geofilter here. He strategically bought one. He's not even here. He's a great guy that should follow him.
Absolutely. Good question.
Hi, hello, good morning. My question is for you, Carlos. My name is Cesar. I come from TJ, and I say this because, well, you use my question. Snapchat uses people is different from the US. Just people use it in kind of different way. So I'm a marketing director for this claim research claim down in TJ, and I know the power. I know what reach can Snapchat have, and it's just like hard. Not only these time, like before my previous job, it's just hard for people who are, let's call it or put it in a way that thinking the box, like a square, and then it's hard for you as a person, like being in this, like trying to explain it, have like these cool ideas, the awesome ideas of thinking outside the box. What would be your advice or recommendation on how to persuade those persons to jump into this, both Snapchat, Twitter,
right? Yeah. Yes. So the question, I'm just going to repeat it back just to confirm, is how do you build the business case for using Snapchat? Correct. And I'll be the first to say, even though I'm a big proponent of Snapchat, this is not a social network that's going to be applicable to every brand out there. And if your audience is not on Snapchat, then you probably should not be on Snapchat also. But again, that's not just Snapchat. That's any social network. So start with identifying who's your target audience. So if it falls within that demographic, and there's some stats that you can also see outside of millennials, there's an older audience now. Sorry, Joel. There's an older audience that's migrating over to Snapchat as well. But the most important thing is, once you identify if your audience is on there, what content are you going to offer that audience as value? And just build that business case. I think to any CMO out there today, and trust me, guys, I speak a lot of these events. I talk to a lot of senior level executives. They're interested in Snapchat because they see their kids are using it or their grandkids are using it. So they, more than anyone, want to know why Snapchat relevant. You saw the stats, 200 million users, 10 billion video views. At the end of the day, if it makes sense for your brand, justify what sort of content, what sort of value you're going to offer to your audience.
How long do you think, Carlos, and this is discussions we have offline, but I want to have it here, before we see Snapchat seen as its own broadcast channel, and we start seeing it show up perhaps on smart TVs, right? Snapchat streaming of people's stories.
That's a very good question. So we're actually already seeing Snapchat as a broadcast channel. In the Discover section, we were talking about this last night. You see traditional cable networks like ESPN and Food Network and the Discovery Channel, they have channels on Snapchat. And I firmly believe over the next probably 3 to 5 years, we will see Facebook and Snapchat become your new Time Warner Cable and Comcast. Firmly believe that.
That's cool. I actually watch Snapchat on my AirPlay. We got a great question over here.
Hey, how you doing? Dan Cruz with the Rockwell Marathon. Tyler, I love your Snapchat feed from William talk at the Tourism Advisory Day a couple months ago. My question is on Snapchat, 3 things. Score. What is it? How important is it? Who cares about it?
Yeah, go for it.
Snapchat score. And then followers. How can you tell how many followers you have, and then what's a good ratio in terms of like views per follower?
Nothing makes me more insane on Snapchat than people snapping me privately just to get their snap score up. Sometimes it's just a plain black photo for 1 second, 10 of them in a row, because people think that by doing that, increasing their snap score, it means something. It means nothing. Nothing. You get a point when you send a private snap, you get a point when you receive a private snap, you get one when you post one to your story. Who cares? It doesn't mean anything. It's this meaningless number. And I've got a huge soapbox for this issue about abusing private snaps. Only send private snaps to people when it concerns them. Otherwise, it goes to your public story. And talk about the follower count.
So your follower count, there is no intuitive way to go ahead and do it without just counting. But to Joel's point, guys, these are just numbers at the end of the day. In 2016, your social media strategy should not be predicated on follower growth solely. At the end of the day, we all have an obligation to fulfill, which is to serve our stakeholders. And that's clients potentially, that's customers out there. So really keep the focus on, are you creating good content that's actually being watched? So I had this conversation, I'll share with you guys this real quick. So I had this conversation at another conference with the guy that runs social media for the Boston Celtics, Peter Stringer. And Peter's telling me they have over 2 million followers on Twitter, they have 18,000 followers on Snapchat, and they're not seeing the ROI of Snapchat because they're not converting and selling tickets. But yet 85%, which is very high, 85% of their followers on Snapchat are actually watching the content as opposed to 1% of followers on Twitter.
ROI is the wrong question. I like to look at it as ROE, return on experience. I choose to use the social sites that I choose to use because I enjoy using them, because I'm having fun doing it, and because I'm getting engagement. If you're engaged in what you're doing and people are engaging back with you, that's a positive experience. Remember, people want to be close to others who they think are having a good time.
Yeah, great point.
Hi everyone, my name is Melody Tao. Most of you know me as Marketing Melody, and that's my digital marketing company that I've been running since 2009. And one of the really cool things about what I do is that things are changing every 6 months, 3 months, and even every week on social media. So right now, a lot of my clients are asking me what we can post about live video, because it seems like a lot of businesses are shy to do that, and they just don't know what to post. So my question to Joel is, do you have any ideas on what businesses can post? Start getting live video?
Great question. Remember, it's all about connecting with people. It's not about the polish. So businesses, meet the team. There's so much content just introducing people to the cool staff members. Do 5-10 minute videos where you're introducing them, you're showing them in their environment. Take people behind the scenes. Show them what it is that you do, how you do what you do. Take them out in the field. Show them your latest invention. Show them what you've got coming. And at the end of the day, for watching, reward them by giving them a special offer. If you sit down and make a list of all the people that work with you, all the product and services you create, all the things that you know that you teach and how you inspire and motivate, the places you go, there is this endless list of content. You will not run out of it. Just have fun with it.
Owen, back there.
Hello, my name is Richard. I was Richard Magi on Twitter. My question is, as far as Snapchat is concerned, at the end of the day, we want to convert clients. We want to get people off onto our website. We want to have them calling us or calling me, especially not more. So, what are some strategies, tips of actually causing some conversion? Actually getting to leave the platform, go to the website.
Yep.
Call to action. Hey, guys, what's on my website?
Yeah, I call freemium content. And what I would recommend in your case or for any solopreneur, small business owner, is how does your product offer value, but you have to present it through content in a way that's educational. So I'll give you an example. Roberto Blake, he's not here at this conference, but he's someone who has a highly visible presence on YouTube. And he uses Snapchat as a medium to drive awareness around why your business should have a presence on YouTube. He's not selling his consulting services up front, but he's planting the seed through his content that YouTube is an important marketing channel and you should have a presence on it, and here's why. So I've spoken with Roberto, and oftentimes he has folks that will direct message him and ask him, hey man, can you help me with my business? Boom. That's where the magic really happens, in the DM, right? Because that's where now you can start talking a little bit more about, well, I do this for a living, here's how I can help you out. If you want to have a subtle call to action, plan on doing a really good story in which you're giving a lot of freemium content away, with the hook being, if you want to know more, you can visit my website and sign up for my newsletter, or you can connect with me personally there.
Great. And we have about 3 more minutes here for questions, so we'll take a couple of them here. And then if you guys do have other questions for Carlos or Joel, we have a 15-minute break after. They'll be out there in the foyer, as well as they're going to be here tonight at the networking reception too, so there's plenty of time to get your questions answered if we don't get to now. But go ahead, Reed.
We're here to be social.
Yeah, I like taking Snapchat selfies too, so if anyone wants to snap it up, find me afterward.
Hey guys, Mike Myers from the Azusa Police Department. I know all of you guys up there.
What's up?
Some interesting things in law enforcement. We are using Snapchat. One thing we're doing, to build that transparency with the community. Basically, how long should our storyboard be? We find that anything the cops have to say, people will listen, especially if it's an emergency, or they want an answer to maybe a controversial issue that's going on in our community. So we almost are able to buy a lot of time. At the same token, we don't want to.
What is this storyboard thing you speak of? Most of us.
So it's mapping out. Yeah, mapping out. Having a beginning, a middle, and an end.
It's as long as you need to tell the story.
Because I've seen some people snap and they go long.
Yeah, and they've gone on to, they've told the story, they've hit the end, and now they're giving you the prologue and then some. The
Bonus
epilogue,
footage.
right?
Yeah.
As long as it needs to be.
I gotta give Mike credit. You guys, if you want an entertaining person to follow and what he does, I love what you do, by the way, Mike. He's a very funny guy, and he definitely has a lot of humor to the law enforcement side of social media, so go give him a follow.
So when he pulls you over, he'll make you laugh.
Question back here.
Hi there, my name is Sam Alvaz, and this is my friend Rosat. My boss is really interested in live video for leadership. I just started, so it's been a little bit rocky increasing our engagement. My question for you is asking for your insight because of the new algorithm changes that were just released on Facebook. My hesitation to the ROI for a live video is because of our low engagement already. How will this algorithm change us?
Let's just call it what it is. Facebook is ultimately a publicly traded company, and they are in the business to make money. At the same time, they want to stay true to their values. In fact, if you'll Google, Zuckerberg just put out information yesterday about what their values are, and they're saying first and foremost, they want to make sure that you see on your news feed friends and family, those you are directly connected to, followed by the brands you like. Think of how many brands you like. I've got to have hundreds of likes out there, if not 1,000. There's no way they can show it all to you. The bottom line is, if you have a business or a page, you're going to have to pay to reach people. And video is a great way to do it. Talk to a Facebook ad expert. In fact, we've got Rick Mulready coming up later today, and you'll learn about that. And I hope he talks a little bit about using Facebook repurposed live video for replays to get increased reach. But just get used to it, gang. If you're going to have a business on Facebook, you're going to have to pay to reach your target.
All right, we have time for one quick question. Let's go.
Can't hear.
Hello?
Yep.
My name is Monica with California Lottery, and right now we're not sure resource-wise it's making support a Snapchat account or transparent out there, but how do you feel about purchasing a geofilter prior to having an account on Snapchat?
I would actually advise in your case, you could probably buy geofilters and have them at every 7-Eleven in California. and use that as a case study. And like I advocate for a lot of brands that are challenged with the same task, which is how do I create content? You can be on Snapchat without being on Snapchat, without creating content through the geofilters. So think of, where do you have distribution at? So the 7-Elevens of the world, the Safeways, and try running as tests geofilters in various cities. And then you'll have metrics that you can then take back to your boss and say, hey, look, we spent X number of dollars and we had X number of uses, X number of impressions, and if you want to take it one step further, then you can actually find out there's an incremental lift in sales at those locations. And leverage, if you're on Twitter, which I know you guys are, leverage that as a resource to say, hey, if you happen to be at a local 7-Eleven in LA this weekend, when you go buy your Powerball ticket, make sure that you check out our geofilter on Snapchat.
All right, guys, let's go ahead and give a round of